Africa Entertainment Network.
So your character's physicality is something that you really want to pay attention to. And let me go through the other parts of it really quickly. But actioning, there's an app called Actions. I think that's the name of the app. Let me check it really quickly. I have it on my phone. I think it's Actions. If anybody can get that app, that'd be great. Because Actions, say for instance, I'm in a scene and I know my character's dreams. They're what they want through the entire scene. But it's how actions are how I'm going to accomplish it, right? So that means, okay, I want to get Harry to give me money, or I want to get Janet to be my friend. If I want to get Janet to be partners in crime, how do I accomplish that, right? How do I accomplish that? I can be like a very informative and say, I can want to deceive her. Okay. Or I can want to persuade her, say, hey, Jen, I could want to inform her. I could want to threaten her to force her to do it. Actions are the way you go about getting what you need to get in your scene, right? This is before you learn your lines. Everybody hear me? This is before. This is what acting is about. That's why I say it's a profession, real profession, right? So that's the way, if I want to get Steve to fall in love with me, or I want to get Jason to fall in love with me, how do I do that? Do I want to charm him to do it? Do I want to seduce him? You know what I'm saying? Do I want to show him how resourceful I am? How do I go about doing that to cause Jason to so you have to, and that's going to be based on your character. If your character is a certain type of person, they're not going to be seductive. So even if the scene says that, you meet Jason and you're trying to get Jason to fall in love with you, the way one type of individual would do it, another type of individual will not do it. And that's why we don't believe certain movies. You know why? Because they're not realistic. Because and looking at that movie, that character will not do that. So the character is not going to do it, and that individual, maybe that actor does not understand that they did not go through their character to understand that that's not the kind of person they are. Then when they do it, what begins to happen is we don't get convinced. We're like, they did a good job, did an awesome job, they cried, they laughed, they what? But people that are looking at the real details of it, guess what they say? No, that's not realistic. And it doesn't trick you. You ever watch some movies and you're watching it and you forget you're watching it? Now you're just reacting to it. Run. You're really like, girl, go open the door. Don't open the door. You find you're responding to it and you forget you're watching a movie. You are just feeling what's happening because you're sucked into it. And part of the reason you're sucked into it is because you believe what's happening. You've watched it and it's tricked your brain into believing this is happening. So you're getting upset. You're getting sad. You sit down, you're crying, Nemo. It's even a cartoon and you're like, Nemo, no. Or Dorothy, let's keep swimming. You're like, no, Dorothy. Or you're looking at Titanic and you're like, you are feeling it because you're being impacted by it. And that's you. Your soul is impacted. Did I do that? Who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to talk to? Why? What's happening? If it's a good movie, sad. And your emotions don't like them. Even when you see their picture somewhere else, you're like, that's not, yeah, they're just acting, but you're impacted by even the mean character, evil, but they actually find a way, they work with a good coach to create empathy, even for an evil character. There's a way to put that in there. So you feel sorry, even for a character that's like sinister. And they work that in. You don't know what they do, but you're able to feel what they've done because you're like, he's so bad, but man, I don't know. He seemed like he could be a cool guy. And he just killed 5 people. You're like, wow, it's the way they work the character that causes that to happen. Okay. So the other thing is that this is something, oh wow. Ooh, this is a pet peeve of mine, yo. Come on. When you're in a scene with somebody, for those of you that are actors, and somebody's sitting down, a person walks into the room, right? And the person says, Janet, I want the files. And the other one is like, stop screaming at me. What are you? And I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking, she did not just scream at you. But because it's required in the script that the person is supposed to come in that way, but they did not do their job. Now you're overreacting and she didn't scream. You shouldn't have reacted that way. As a matter of fact, here's what: if the person doesn't scream, you should not react that way at all. No, you shouldn't. You know why? You're supposed to respond based on what your scene partner is giving you. You have to feed off of your scene partner. You see a lot of people, they act and they're an island unto themselves. They're not interacting. So therefore, everybody feels detached in the scene. Everybody's trying to be the next top star, but they don't recognize that what you're supposed to be doing as a skilled actor is to be working and interacting with those within your scene. And it ain't about being no next top star. The next top star should be the next humble star, because humility is going to cause you to be an actor that is vulnerable enough to connect with those that are around about you and feed off of the other actors that are there so that you do justice to the character that's given to you. And that is a fact. If you want to be an actor, you should be humble. Now, I'm not saying, stardom does get some people. I ain't even going that far. But what I'm saying is that as an actor, your humility is a superpower. Your ability to want to sit down and have a conversation and learn about other people is your superpower, because you're going to need that for your job. You're going to need that because if I don't know people, I don't know how to act. Because I have to understand humanity to be able to portray humanity. I need to know your hurts so that I understand my character's hurts. I need to understand the world around about me and be observant and not just be like, I know that character because of me, because that character is not me. That character is somebody else that I had a conversation with. Somebody that's my cousin, my auntie, my friend, the person next door, it's my neighbor, that character might be something like me, but for the most part, you have diverse characters. So we have to understand humanity and be able to be touched by the feelings of other people so that when we have a script in front of us, then we go through that script and we are seeing the people that we've spoken to and the lives that we've observed, right? So on set, that means that you have to trust your scene partner. Now, trust is a big deal. We have to trust our scene partner, and we have to trust them enough to open up and to connect with them. And we have to trust that even if a character is angry and they're giving it to us and telling us all kinds of stuff, we have to trust that that's what they're supposed to be doing and that we have to do what we have to do. And when we're done, we drop that and we move on because that was acting. But they're going to have to display the fullness of the emotional history and everything that they've built up. And they're going to have to unload it in the moment. And you're going to have to respond to what they're giving. So we have to hold hands, kind of, right? So one person can say at home, you know what? When they do this, I'm going to do this. And when they say that, I'm going to say that. When they do this, how do you know what they're going to say? When Leonardo DiCaprio he acted on this movie with Jamie Foxx, when Jamie Foxx was a slave. I can't remember the name of it. Leonardo DiCaprio was a slave trader. Do you know he was not supposed to stab his hand? He got so into the part that he stabbed his hand. You know what he did? He kept on rolling. And you know what everybody else did? They kept on rolling and they kept the scene. I'm not saying I'm on stage because I might be the one to be like, yo, cut. But my thing is, he was so into it. And he so loves acting, and he was so into that. He was invested and committed to that part. He didn't budge. He made it a part of the scene and kept on moving. He wiped his hand and everything and kept on moving. He just built it into the scene. And that's why for an actor, you have to be able to move based on, it's art. Acting is an art, y'all. It's not a hobby. It's an art form. So when you're there with the other individual, what are you doing? You are connecting with them. Whether you're mad or not, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about connecting to the point where I see you, I hear you, I feel you. Sometimes you even have to sit down and literally look at your scene partner. Especially if you have, honestly, when you see people filming this way and they're talking to somebody else, the person's not even there. Sometimes it's literally just the camera there and they have to act like that's it. You have to create the reality, right? But I'm talking about when you have a partner in front of you, that is actually a blessing, so you have to be able to respond and work with that scene partner, right? So inner monologue. Inner monologue. I'm going to pull up somebody on the screen really quickly. Hey, Fidello, do you want to do inner monologue? I want to tell you what it is. Fidello, you can do it. Don't look at me like that, Fidello. Fidello, you can do this thing. Fidello. Fidello, what you eating, Fidello? All right. I don't want to stop you from eating. I don't know what you're eating, but inner monologue is like this. I mentioned it before, right? So it's a conversation or something going on in your head that I see on your face and your body language, right? So therefore, if you are thinking something, like you thinking, I don't know what in monologue is, I don't want to crop on the screen, and I can see it on your face, right? So now you don't know what inner monologue is. But I want you to think of something, and I want you to really focus on it. Okay? I want you to think of something, but I want you to focus on what you're thinking. But Fidello, I don't want you to pay attention to anybody on here, because the last thing you need to do as an actor is be conscious about what other people are thinking, feeling about you. Don't even care. You're going to help you. Like I can just like, yeah, whatever. Here's why. Because we don't care what they're thinking. Because acting has nothing to do with people watching you. You're in a moment where all this is gone. Everything around about you is gone. I don't care what the director is looking at me, that you're in the moment. You're there in your moment. You in that time frame and wherever that part of the scene is or the script is, right? And I want you to think about, you put your own thoughts in your head. Say, for instance, you can start doing, okay, here's what. Is there someone in your life that maybe within the past month or week, or maybe in your childhood, that you have an unresolved issue with? You haven't resolved the issue. It could either be painful or it could just make you angry, right? I want you to close your eyes a minute, Fidello. Close your eyes, Fidello. Don't cheat. Close your eyes. And I want you to think about the individual that you have an unresolved issue with. I want you to see their face. All right. So I want you to see their face. I want you to think back to a situation that happened with them that was just not a good situation. I want you to remember that situation. Fidello, you're not serious. You're not serious, Fidello. Hey. Okay, Fidello. Is there anybody that wants to do this exercise? You can't be self-conscious. You have to, the thing about actors that you have to be able to not pay attention to what's happening. Because if you're too conscious of what's happening around about you, you're not going to be able to do the part. You will do the part based on how other people want you to do it, and you're not going to do justice to the role. All right, Fidello. So you have to forget the people that are on here. Y'all, we love everybody here, but you're going to have to not pay attention to them. You have to not pay attention. Don't think about, because they're not even on the screen. We're here, but you don't think about those that are here. I want you to focus in on the face of the individual, because acting requires focus. You have to hold the focus. So focus, close your eyes again. Let's do it again. And sometimes the biggest thing is displaying emotion, especially if it's not a part of your upbringing. If certain displays of emotion are considered to be negative, we are trained to not make ourselves show those emotions. But in acting, you have to show those emotions when it comes up. So there's no right and wrong at this point in time. There is only what serves the story. So there is no right and wrong. So I want you to take that out of your head. There's no right and wrong right now. Okay? You have to do justice by what we're doing right now. So I want you to see the individual's face. I want you to think back on an experience that you had with them that was just not a good experience. It's not good. It hurt you or it made you mad. I want you to think back on that experience. I want you to see where you were when that happened. Who was looking at you? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? I want you to hold that thought and keep thinking about it. What did you want to say to the individual at that moment? What did you feel like saying? What was taken away from you? What did you lose? Fidello, I want you to open your eyes. And how do you feel? Were you able to feel the emotions of it? Yeah. You can take yourself off mute. You can take yourself off mute so I can hear you, Fidello. Come off mute. Yeah. Were you able to feel that?
I felt it. Rain.
Were you able to connect to the experience? Or did you feel like it was hard to connect?
I felt it.
You felt it. Okay. Because, there are times, for those of you that are on here and for you, Fidello, there are times where the good thing about the places that we've walked through in life is that we can use them. We can use the things that we've been through in life, from our past to our present. The best things are actually present, the things that we're working with now. We find some of the best performances that have taken place with actors were at times where they were going through major situations in the immediate, and they used those as raw emotions, and they came out really strong. So what time? I'm sorry, I don't want to go over your time. Over time. Let me wrap up. But for you and for others here, you can go back on mute, that's fine. For others that are on here, you need to have a journal. Get a notebook, and on a day-to-day basis, write down, if you remember something that you went through in childhood, you can use that, right? If you remember something, a situation, what makes you angry, what has made you sad, what has made you can utilize all those things for your acting, right? I'm going to skip down here I'm going to wrap up really quickly here, but I want to deal with what drives the scene. The intensity you feel in a movie from the actor is not just because the script is written that way. It's because of that same, what does the actor want? And what that means is, what do they want for their whole movie, and what do they want in that scene, right? So each scene breaks down the movie and it keeps moving the movie forward. But there's a general thing that they want throughout the whole movie. Maybe somebody wants to find love. I want to find love. I want to be forgiven. I want to get my father's attention. I want to be forgiven by my mother, or whatever it is. They might want that for the whole movie, but from scene to scene to scene, they're moving through the scene to accomplish that thing. But in each scene, there's also an objective. There's, like I was talking to you about, the pursuit of happiness. And when you look at your character's objective for that scene, what they want, it's always something that should be urgent. The urgency is what we feel. We feel the urgency, we feel our character fighting through from scene to scene to scene. And that's why the movie doesn't get boring, because we're feeling their intensity from scene to scene to scene. We feel them moving through the movie, especially for the actor. You mind muting your thank you. So we feel them moving from scene to scene to scene to be able to overcome, whatever that obstacle is, and to be able to get what they want. And as we see them do that, as they move all the way through, we feel the intensity, and it's what hooks us, because we see them fighting to win. All right, so I'm going to wrap up right now. I'm going to wrap up by saying this: you must surrender to your character. A lot of people, they try to make up their own thing for their character, and they do not surrender to what the actual character is saying. They don't personalize the words on the script. They want to memorize words and just go through. You can't just memorize words. If you really want to remember the words, what you have to do is personalize the words. So I have some scripts there. I won't go to them right now. But let me see something. My book. Okay, so... all right, so say for instance, I have this here, like it's a scene. Believe it or not, sometimes my life sucks beyond the telling of it. And I don't understand why trying to kill myself makes you want to buy me new clothes and clean my apartment, right? Say, for instance, you have something like this, right? Believe it or not, sometimes my life sucks beyond the telling of it, right? When you say it, what does it mean to you is what you need to find out. Believe it or not, I've been trying to do this acting thing and it just ain't working. I'm trying as hard as I can. If you personalize those lines, because the lines have to mean something to you. These lines on the page, it's not you. So you have to personalize what's on your paper, right? And there's other exercises that have to be done to connect you to your lines, right? So after you go through all that stuff and you build your character and stuff, you have to personalize it. And personalizing you do through substitution. Say, for instance, Fidello, you're doing a scene where you're speaking to someone that's supposed to be your mom. They're not your mom. That's the bottom line. They're not your mom. And maybe you didn't even encounter that specific situation with your mom. So you can't even use your real life mom in that situation, right? You can't do it. So you would have to probably think of maybe a situation that brings up that same feeling that you've been through with another individual. And instead of seeing the individual in front of you that's that person that you're acting with, you'd have to substitute them out for the individual you've been through that experience with. Do you see what I'm saying? So maybe you and somebody named Janet. Janet is so deceptive and you have tried your best to be a friend, but she just keeps stabbing you in the back. She just keeps being very mean to you, right? Now in the scene, okay, the person's your mom. And that's what's on the paper now, right? And you are like trying to show your love to your mom, but she's being so resentful towards you in the scene. You might have to substitute that experience to be able to personalize the words here. So when you're saying it, if you have to say, would you just please just listen to me? We've never gotten along and I'm trying. You're speaking to Janet. Would you just please, just for goodness sake, listen for once in your life? I'm trying to be your friend. I've been trying for so long. You're going to have to use that same energy and put it towards the mom that's in you see what I'm saying? So that way you don't have to try to create relationship. All of those little nuances, that the things that come up that we don't really see, you don't have to be mechanical about it. What you're just trying to, it comes up naturally because you just personalize those lines, right? Because if your character now is very nerdy, would you just please just listen to me? And maybe they're just very constipated emotionally. They're just more towards themselves and they just don't like screaming on. You might not be able to be so bold. You might have, because you know your character, your character's getting angry, maybe they're shaking, maybe they're sweating. Based on how your character is how you're going to act it out. But the personalization will come from your substitution. You catch what I'm saying? It will come from that person you've substituted out because the character on the paper is not nobody to you. You have to find a way to connect to that character. And the only way you can do it is through your substitution. So when you substitute out for somebody else and you're like, okay, this ain't my mom in real life. I'm going to substitute. I'm going to use Janet. I don't have to use a parallel situation. I have to use a situation that's a bridge that allows me to connect to this moment. And I'm going to use Janet to connect me because Janet been getting on my nerves so long. I've been trying to connect with her and she's so crazy, but I'm here now with this person and I'm like wanting the same thing from the person in the script that's my mom that I want from Janet. Just listen, open up. I'm just trying, just accept me, just come on. And I want the same thing from my mom. So now I'm doing the same thing. I am endowing the character on the page with all of that emotion, all the stuff that I need from Janet. I'm endowing her with the same attributes of Janet. So I need you to please just listen to me. I've been trying. So all those emotions will naturally come up and you're like, I've been trying the whole time. Oh my God. All come up, right? All of it's going to come up because you are pulling from a real place. So you don't have to conjure up, oh my gosh, I'm trying. You don't have to do all of that. It will come up because once you tap that experience, all those emotions are going to be your superpower. It's going to come out, right? So you don't have to force it. So that's what I'm talking about, surrendering to what's happening, connecting to your material, and just being able to portray humanity, whether it's the ugly, joyful, hurtful, hopeful, hopeless, giving, ashamed, bored, shy, twisted craziness of humanity, whatever it is. We have to embrace our character fully. You don't even, if your character is evil, do the best evil character you possibly can. There is somebody. When you get into the science of it, I can't get into that because there's so much details with evil characters, right? So it's a whole, it's not just, I want to kill somebody. It's not always that. It's not this whole, it's completely different, right? Because you can substitute out a person, like if it's a dead body, it can literally be something that you're trying to overcome. So you're passionately killing the thing that has been, maybe it's been such poverty. Maybe it's been financial distress. It may not always be a person. Like when it comes to an object, it can literally be something that it's just a situation. And you are acting it out, and no, when you're done, you're like, okay, right? But you get an emotional release from it. So that's all I want to do for today. And I want to open up. If anybody has any questions they want to ask, you can go ahead and ask your questions now. There's a lot of information I know I had to kind of run through. I apologize. But if you do want to ask questions, I am open. You'll be brave. I'm here. I don't know when I'm going to be here again, but I am here to answer questions. If there's anything that you've been struggling with, it's been difficult, a question you have about a character you're dealing with now, or, something like that, then you please feel free to ask a question about what I said, that maybe you want some more clarity on. Please feel free to come up now and ask your questions. If you don't want to come on screen, you can just unmute yourself. Don't all run at once. Anybody has a question? This is your time. All righty. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute again. You're on mute again. You're muted again.
Okay. Yeah. How can you switch from like playing a happy character and you just have to switch to a very sad, moody character? How can you get along with such kind of situation?
Okay, so okay, let me get this. From a happy, you mean from, say for instance, your character's in a moment where everybody's happy, they're drinking, some Sobolo, whatever, they're partying, and all of a sudden something crazy happens and you have to cry. That's what you're looking at, right? Yeah. So that has to do with your personalization throughout the scene, because when you're working on it, remember I told you about that objective that you're working on, right? You're working on going from what do I want to accomplish throughout the scene here, right? What is happening in the midst of my scene and understanding it, right? So you're looking at that, but you're dealing with say for instance, the person if you're crying, maybe somebody says a situation where somebody dies, right? Everything is okay, and then gunfire takes place and somebody dies in that moment. You have to prep emotionally for that scene. At the beginning of the scene, you have to prep emotionally for that scene, but you have to live in the scene from moment to moment, not anticipating it so you look like crying before you start supposed to be crying, but you have to do emotional prep work and trust that it will actually come. Here's why I say that. Because at the beginning of the scene, everybody's partying, they're happy and stuff, but you're fully believing the scene. Remember, we are not thinking about everything that's going on out here. We're not thinking about anything that's happening around here. We are actually going from moment to moment throughout the scene. So everybody's happy. You are substituting out every individual you interact with. So if you interact with somebody and you give them a high five, hey, you have to know who that substitution is. You have to know what lines you're saying and what you really mean by those lines. You have to connect in every moment. It's very detailed. Every moment you're connecting. So when the gunfire takes place, you have to substitute the gunfire. if it's not something that is like real to your life and you've never been through it, like to some people, they've been through it, and somebody that they really that's been close to them has passed away, and they can use that experience, and really that's it. They go back to that memory. But for those that do not have that type of emotional history, what you have to do, you have to substitute out the gunfire. You have to substitute the gunfire. You have to substitute the individual that shot it. You have to substitute the person that died. So in substituting it out, you're actually working with real memories that, I told you about that diary that you're supposed to be writing out. You're going from moment to moment. You're staying in the moment. So when something dies, what's dying? What is dying and what hit it? There is somebody, were they married to somebody? And the what died probably was their marriage. What hit it was everything I did wrong. What's exactly is happening? You have to substitute it out, so you personalize it, because it's not what is just happening in the script, it's how you relate to what's happening in the script. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's honestly, in a scene, crying is really, people make a big deal about crying. Crying is not a big deal. When I say that, it ain't about crying. It's about what happens for you to cry. Say, for instance, some people thinking if I snot down my nose and my makeup is smeared all over with tears, that's when I'm crying. Hey, Charlie, hey, listen, stop it. Like, don't do that again. Don't do it. Like, I'm just telling you, stop it, because we don't always cry like that. You might show crying by trying to not cry. Some men don't like to show that they cry. Sometimes maybe the situation you're in doesn't permit you to cry. You are a military person and you are there and you're remembering everybody that died. But to you, if say for example, that's your character, you're going to have to remember probably every opportunity you lost, every time you tried that it didn't happen, everybody that gave up on you. You're remembering that stuff and you're there, but you're not allowed to just break down and say, hey, Charlie, you cannot do that. You have to stand still, have the emotion, feel it, and hold it. And maybe one tear comes down your face, but the camera's going to pick that up. Maybe you don't get any tears, but your eyes fill up with water. The camera's going to pick that up. And you are holding it and you are trying. You might be swallowing. You might be blinking a little bit more because of your heart rate's going to pick up because your body is releasing real chemicals that are saying something's wrong, even though something's not wrong. You in your mind is controlling it, but you are feeling it in that moment. But that's where the prep work comes in. You have to prepare. So when you get there, it's not that difficult. You have to prepare. So all that to do with the person that died, or maybe the relationship that broke up or whatever, is in you because you've prepared. So when you get to the scene, you're not thinking about who's my substitution, who's my this, who's my that. You've done it so much that it's second nature. And that's why I object to people getting scripts last minute. It's not the best. When you prepare, it comes natural. It will flow out of you. You don't have to think about the lines. You shouldn't think about it. It should just be there. So when you get there, one, you get yourself, you forget, don't talk to people on set. Don't be talking. You have to figure out what scene am I in, what you have to get to a very sober place and locate your character. Where am I? When it's time for you to go, you should be filled up already from your preparation work, from you getting in the moment. There's an exercise called the graveyard experience, where this was really tough for me, where, because I cried so much, you literally have to, say for instance, close your eyes. You think about an individual who is the closest to you. Like when I say close, you are going to their funeral. You see them in the coffin. This is tough. I know this is tough. Sometimes I don't know if I'm knocking on culture or what. I'm not trying, but I'm just saying this is the exercise, right? You see them in a coffin, and this is the last time you will see them. You will never be able to say another word to them. You're thinking about everything that you could have said to them, all the mistakes you made the last time you probably met them, that you were arguing, and they're closing that coffin and they're lowering it down. And listen, if you sink into that, I've done this exercise with 13-year-olds and they break down crying. I was in the United States and I was in Maryland, and I did the exercise with a church that wanted me to come to do it with their group, their actors group. And it was teenagers. And I people crying. I'm thinking, oh Lord, I've traumatized these children. Father, help me. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, was this right? I don't know. You know, but this is acting. So they were crying. So I said, so then when they did it, I said, so now we're prepping for an emotional scene. So I said, start there. And they started there. And when they said those, it was beautiful. It was something. But sometimes you have to do that prep work, not use it then, but be disciplined to hold it and go through your scene and let it go when it's time. And that's how you release it in the moment. And then you got to do that again if it's another take from another side and another side, another. But that's where the discipline comes in. You'll be able to do it. The more you do it, is the more you can do it. Okay. Anybody else have a question?
Yes,
Anybody else?
A question. Comment the comment.
I'm not hearing you.
Check in the comment section. I sent a question.
All right. Hold a minute. Let me check.
Yes, I have a question.
Doctor doesn't want any extra lines. If your doctor doesn't want extra lines, emotions, or display, what should you do?
I have a question.
Hold a minute. Who put this question? Okay, is that KIB? Who's speaking? Who's the individual that was just speaking? Sorry.
Mr. Kirby dropped the question. I dropped the question here in the comment section.
Okay.
So someone else wants to ask the question.
Okay, so let me go one by one, all right? So the question I'm addressing right now, KIB.
Is Dixon.
All right, Dixon, hold a minute. Let me do one question from the comments and I'll come back to Dixon, okay? So, all right, so what if your director doesn't want any extra lines, emotions, or display? What should you do? KIB, do me a favor, explain that. When you say extra lines, you mean ad-libbing?
Yes, I gave an example there, like the one you said earlier. The character has to say, stop yelling, when the fellow cat wasn't yelling, and and it kind of sounds like, but she wasn't yelling, and you say stop yelling. It's because it's being written on the script. Then your director now says, please, I want you to use the word stop yelling. And of course, you don't want to say stop yelling. You want to say something like, please, would you be calm a bit? And that is almost the same thing as stop yelling. So, okay, no, I don't want you to use that. I want you to say exactly stop yelling. So what should you do?
Yeah, listen, you're getting paid by these people. You better say stop yelling. I'm sorry. KIB, you're not going to be changing these people's lines. You better say stop yelling. So you have to do it, right? But sometimes you have to yelling. They're not yelling. That and sometimes that's really touchy. First of all, we're dealing with the ideal situation. And the ideal situation is if I got to tell you stop yelling, you got to be yelling, right? So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say, open your eye, and your eyes are like this. Open your eye. I would sound like you would think like, what is wrong with me? The eyes are already open. Why am I saying that, right? It's the same thing. So I'm speaking about an ideal situation, which is they should have their voice elevated. If you do have the freedom to communicate, hey, director, do you think they maybe should raise their voice a little bit more? Sometimes people get offended by that. So you have to feel out your circumstance, but it's going to look very strange. And it does look strange. And I know sometimes the other actor is not raising their voice, and they should be. They haven't done the part well, and the director is still requiring it. If you are operating under situations where honestly they just want to give it, you're getting paid. I'm just saying, that you're trying your best, but you might want to say something. Sometimes you may not. Sometimes that's just what you have. Do your part the best you can do your part, right? So don't change people's lines. I would prefer for actors to learn to do word for word. All right. So say for instance, I meet Fidello, right? Or I meet who else here? I meet Miriam. If I meet Omo Juicy, all right, Omo. All right. So if I meet one of you, right? If I have to know about you, what do I have to do? I'm gonna ask you, okay, so where'd you come from? I'm gonna say, hey, Fidello, what's your family background? I'm gonna say, okay, well, what do you like? What do you not like? I'm gonna say, Fidello, what's your favorite color? I'm gonna ask you, okay, where were you born? Like, what were the circumstances around your birth? How were your parents? Who's your mother? Who's your father? And what's your profession? Like, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. And the reason why I'm doing that is to really dig deep into you. Now, when we are forming a character, y'all, it's the same thing we're doing. Before you go into learning your lines, you have to establish a bio for your character based on the information that's given in the script. And if they do not give you all the information, like who's the father, who's the mother, where they're from, what's their profession, what level of education they're at. If they don't give you that, you have to read the script and understand your character and add that in so you round out your character and you create the details. That's your work. They're not going to give you everything. That's why you the actor, right? And they give you the script and you understand what the director is trying to say in that script. What are they trying to tell you? What's the writer trying to say? What's the director trying to do, right? Once you understand that, then you have to go into building the fullness of your character. Before you do your lines, don't touch no lines unless you know your character, because you're going to learn your lines the wrong way. Does your character have an accent? Does your character, do they stutter? Does your character have a funny eye? You know what I'm saying? Does your character speak a little bit twisted? Is your character assertive? Is your character more passive and shy? All of that stuff, you have to know about your character. Now, if they're shy, why are they shy? Did your character have an abusive father? Did your character have an abusive mother? Like, what are the circumstances around your character that makes them who they are in the moment? You need to know all of that, right? So what's their experiences? Where has your character been? Why? Because those are the nuances that make up a human being, right? So say, for instance, somebody is like, if you travel to some other country, say you go to Korea, right? And you experience a whole different type of eating. If I bring squid to you, you're going to react differently because that memory might be triggered. Maybe you like squid. But if somebody never traveled to a place and ate something different, when you bring squid and they're accustomed eating, I'm in Ghana, so banku, fufu, and you say squid, no, I don't do that. We eat fish, like fried fish, like that's good. But squid, especially raw squid, not cooked, we cook food over here, people. So you're going to have a different response to it because of your humanity. Do you understand me? You're going to have a different response to it because of where you've traveled through, right? If your character had an abusive father, how she interacts with men through the script might be completely different. If you ingrain that into your character's bio, then how she goes through the script is going to be different than the Southern belle who probably has had a wonderful father who gave her everything. That all men are nice. All men are great. What if about a man? Let me switch it up now. A man has had a very horrible mom. And this lady in the scene in the movie is always trying to be his friend. Say for instance, even if the script did not write that in, if you put that in your bio, you will have a natural response towards the individual that's a little bit like, okay, all right, lady. And the director would not have had to write that in. Why? Because your character is nuanced or colored, or that's a part of their being or their personality. So you're going to see that coming out, even if it's not written. Do you understand me? So the character is a thing that you build so that you're able to operate from who the character is out through the words in the script, right? You're not just saying, I'm going to say these lines, I'm going to learn these lines, and I'm going to be good as long as I know. So if I'm angry, I'm just angry. So because they say to be angry, that part of the script, they said to be angry in. Well, let me tell you something. Anger looks different. Some people are angry and they never quarrel. Somebody put your mic on mute if you don't mind. I'm getting feedback, right? So some people are angry and they don't show emotion. Somebody be angry and they'll be very quiet, very sober. But when you look at them, you will feel like they're about to come at you with a knife. Seriously. They don't have to argue. They don't have to quarrel. You will see it. You will feel it from them. And that's what I'm talking about with acting. I'm talking about being able to, because of your internal world, what's happening inside, because of the character you've built, because of the circumstances of the script and the scene, because you understand where you are in your story, be able to project something from you. That is what you have built up. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not just saying the lines, because honestly, the lines are the least of it, because even the lines that you say, you're not really saying what the line's saying. Okay, Mary goes up to Joe, or Kwame goes up to Equia, right? And Kwame is looking at Equia, and Kwame is like, Equia, the way I love you, What Kwame is really saying is, Akria, I want to marry you, girl. I've been thinking about you and dreaming. I dreamt about you. It's something else, Kwame. If the director writes something there, right? There is something in your head that begins happening before you say words. Just like I am seeing, I'm seeing your face here. You're laying down like this. When I speak, something is going through your mind while I'm talking. Because as human beings, we operate based on creation. And here's why I say that. Because we learn by creating. So in order to even interact with another character, you have to listen to what they say, process what they say, and respond based on what they're saying to you. So you're thinking about it. The best actors are the best listeners. They're not just waiting to say another line. They're thinking about the line, because while the person is talking in your mind, you might be saying, I know this girl is lying, but you're not saying it. Your face is saying it, like, okay. You're like, your body language is listening, but your face is just thinking in your head, she's lying to me while she's talking. So you're showing it because you have a monologue or an internal conversation going on saying, you are lying to me. I don't hear nothing you have to say. So you're responding because of something going on the inside. Do you understand me? So even sometimes when you say your lines, there's something going on the inside and some things you can't say. And those are the real words. The real words are what's happening on the inside of you. That even though you say one thing, it's coming from a whole backstory of stuff that you didn't say. Feelings that you just are showing on your face, but you just cannot fully verbalize. Do you understand me? So I'm going to move ahead because we don't have much time. It's at 7:34 already. Alrighty. So for your character, right, you have to also know your character's obstacles. So we're moving on. I'm just kind of like giving you like little snippets of things that you need to understand. An obstacle. Say for instance, there are obstacles that are internal and obstacles that are external. Here's why I say that. There's some obstacles that are like, say for instance, a girl meets guy wants to marry girl was molested when she was young. Or girl meets guy wants to marry girl has had an abusive relationship in the past. There's an internal obstacle of fear. So even though she thinks this guy is everything, he is like, when she thinks about him, she feels, listen, she loves this man, right? She has an obstacle to overcome in that movie, in that scene, to be able to love him. She's a huge obstacle. Because if she doesn't get past her fear, what happens? She's not going to be able to marry this man and fully love him. Or she might get close to him and then run away because maybe he didn't pick up his phone. She's like, he's awful. Or maybe she gets angry about something and it's really not that angry, but she's so scared she cannot fully embrace even a little bit of upset from him because she's so scared he can be an abuser or maybe he's a cheater or whatever, right? So to her, that's an internal obstacle. It can be fear, right? It can be scared of being rejected. It can be whatever it is. But then there's external obstacles. An external obstacle is like this, right? So I am in a room and I am trying to speak to someone who I am trying to maybe give them this gift that I said, this is a secret, but I want to show it to you. Come outside the door, come on. And they're like, no, I'm not going to come outside the door because the way you spoke to me this morning wasn't good. And the door is there and you're like, but you're trying to open it. Like, come on, like, come outside the door, knock, knock, knock. Like you're trying to like, where's the key for this door? Do you have a key for the door? Like you're trying to get past that door. That door could be an obstacle, physical obstacle to you getting to the person. Or maybe you're in a scene and you're trying to speak to a girl or a girl's trying to speak to a guy and there's another person there and you're trying to deliver a message to them without the other person knowing that person is an obstacle that's there. So you have to try to maneuver to get ways of conveying that message to the individual, right? That allows them to not really, other person in the room to not know. So they're an obstacle. And usually in a scene, there are different types of obstacles. There are different kinds of obstacles. Say, for instance, if a person, say, what does your character want? Say your character, I want to feel empowered. But in the movie, it's like the pursuit of happiness, right? Will Smith is in the movie and he wants to get his power back. He's had a horrible life. He's had all kinds of stuff going on in his life, and he is fighting with all his might to be able to do what? To maybe get this job that he wants to get, because the job is going to make him feel powerful. Or maybe it's like he wants validation. He wants respect. So he is trying to do everything that he can possibly do to get respect. Why? Because his wife thinks he's a nobody. His child is going through suffering, and he's like, I'm going to change this and be a person that's respected and change things in my family, right? So he goes from scene to scene, and the scene he's in the bathroom. That scene is in the bathroom. He's still trying to get that place of power or that place of validation or respect, right? But he's in that bathroom scene there, and his fight to be able to get respect leads him to a bathroom. Why? Because the bathroom is a place where they can have peace. They can just stay there for the night. You know, he don't want to go in a shelter, but he can just be here for the night and have a moment of peace with his son, where he can clear his head and put his thoughts together for the next day. And they can just use the sink to shower up or whatever to be clean. So he feels respected and he feels it's a place of peace, but somebody wants him to get out that bathroom. That's an obstacle to his peace in that scene. In that scene, that's an obstacle because he has to fight. So he is fighting so hard for respect. He is fighting so hard to have a place of peace for his child, to just be someone that's respected. But now he is fighting to stay in a bathroom public facility, for goodness sake. And his child is there with him. And he's like, am I not at the lowest of low? And then this person is trying to push the door. And you're fighting for everything. So you're in a suit, but somebody's going to throw you out of a public restroom. And he broke down. And he was not supposed to break down in that scene. But he broke down. Why? Because he's like, this is the last of what I have, man. Just leave me alone. So he comes to a place where there's a conflict. And that place of conflict reaches because the character, like he researches character, he knows his character is fighting for an overall objective where for the whole movie, this is what he's looking to accomplish. And through each scene, he's working through to accomplish it. And he gets to a place that's an arc in the movie where he is breaking down because it don't look like anything is working. I'm trying everything with all my might. It's not working, right? So he blocks the door and they're banging and he's trying to brush out the noise. And he breaks down because emotionally his character is fighting. The worst thing you can see in a movie is somebody that's an emotional distractor. And here why I say that. Somebody who, when they're banging on the door to get him out, they'll just start crying. No, you didn't see that from Will Smith. Here's what you saw from Will Smith. You saw Will Smith fighting still to accomplish his objective. We love characters globally in every culture, loves characters that we see are fighting to accomplish something that don't give up. Even if they got shot in the right arm, shot in the left arm, and on the foot, we want to see them crawling out of there. And we feel like we're cheering them on. But if they're just there and they're not trying, they're like, I'm shot. Oh man, it's hurting, it's horrible, it's just awful. If we don't see them fighting like, and they're like, my bag is over there, get the passport, run. We want to see the person fighting to do what? To overcome their overall objective. Or like Blood Diamond, when you had Leonardo DiCaprio. And Leonardo DiCaprio was at the back of the mountain and he was there with the gun still trying to ward people off so that they can get to safety. Even with his dying breath, he was there trying to fight. And we respect that and we see that. Do you know why? Because most people, whether you're on here or most people, whoever it is in the world, we are fighting for something and we can relate to another individual that's going after something and that doesn't give up. We see a hero in them and we want to see that hero's journey walked out throughout. So even if you're a character that's on your deathbed and you're laying down there, you are trying to accomplish something. You're not just laying down and you're just like, okay, when am I supposed to die in this scene? like 2 minutes to die, or what is it? You're not, that's not what you're doing. What you're doing, you're laying on your deathbed. And at that point, even if you have no words in the script, 0 words, your words are in your head. You're thinking about your daughter. You're thinking about your son. You're thinking about what are the things I didn't put in place. You're thinking about, you know what I'm saying? You're thinking about the person that's in front of you. If you have a visitor, like, how do I make this moment the best moment? Because I might never see you again. What do I have unresolved with you? And even if you cannot speak, say, for instance, your character cannot speak at all, and they can just look, I should see that in your eyes. If your character's body can't move, I should see it in your facial expression. Your eyes should tell me everything about your character. But the only how that's possible is if you do your internal work, is if you understand your character's their educational background, their likes, their dislikes, their parents, their occupation, all that stuff, but also their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. Your character's dream is where they are and where do they want to be? Where does your character want to be at the end of the movie, at the end of a scene? Where do they want to be? What do you see your character as you read that script through? What do they want? You need to know what your character wants, right? Another thing is, what are their flaws? Some characters, you see them, their flaws could be their temper, everything they get angry for. They get angry for everything. So you know that they're trigger happy, so they're there and they're big, strong guy. They come in, they're sweet guy, but they're big and strong and they have a temper. So they're trying to protect everybody. But the flip of a hat, if you get them upset, they'll have a gun to your face and be like, man, you better not play with me, man. And you're like, hey. I'm not trying to do nothing. I didn't mean to make you mad, so you want him to calm down, dude. Like, hey, but sweet guy, nice guy, loyal guy, but he will shoot you if you get him mad. So what's your character's flaw, right? So also your character's physicality. Are they sitting up straight and prim and proper? Are they a character that slouches? Do they sit a certain way? You know what I'm saying? What is your character's physicality? What are they talking like this? So if give them what you have to, you're being paid. So there's some stuff you're gonna have to work with stuff. You just have to be flexible, honestly. So your situations are never going to be perfect. I'm telling you, it will never be perfect. You will always find something that comes up, but you just have to work with it and do the best you can. Okay, KIB?
I think I'll have to turn it. Should not ring it. It's nothing.
Was Cabby here?
Okay.
Let me see who's here. No, he's not there yet.
Cabby, let's see.
I'm thinking about jumping on. Let me see. Okay. When he comes back. Okay. Let's see him. All right. Anybody want to ask a question in between? I think, is it Dixon? Dixon's not here.
Dixon is here.
Okay. Dixon, you want to ask your question and I'll jump back on. I'll give KIB a response when he comes back in.
Okay, Dixon, you can ask a question.
Yeah, my question is this. I know that we are all given line scripts to flow with. But in a case that we have other things that we can bring in to spice the scene, to spice it up, are we allowed to do that? Why? Because I have noticed that a lot of directors don't like that. They just want you to follow the lines the way it is written, even when you have clue or something to say to spice it up, to add more life to it. So what do we do at that?
Yeah, the thing about the actor is that the actor is not the producer and it's not the director. And here's why I say that. Actors are employed, and I want us to understand what I mean by that. Now, you should be allowed to have creativity, but the actor has to work with the script. And the actor has to work what's written, where there's a comma, where there's a full stop, where there's a capital, wherever, the breaks and the pauses, you are to work with that because that's the way it was written, and it was written that way for a reason. Your job is to interpret what is being written and to do justice to the character that you're being given. It is not to come in and change things. We have to understand that you come in and you are like the script is like the bones, and you are the flesh and the vessels and the veins and the skin and the hair and stuff. That's how I can explain it. So the script is the core and the anchor of everything, and then you fill everything out and give it life. And so you don't want to come in and change things. I mean, simple, if you have a relationship with the director, you can suggest something, but if they accept it, then you can go ahead. But if not, then they don't want it that way for a reason. You have to work with what's being given to you. Right? So you don't want to come in to just change it because you think it's better. What your creativity and your skill is taking what's being given, looking and trying to figure out what is the writer trying to say here in the script. What are they trying to say? And then now, based on what they're trying to say in the story, this is my character within the story. How does it all work together? Now I'm in this scene and you have these lines that you're like, I could add more to it, but you have to work with the framework you're being given and do the best you can in there, because I'm telling you, you get to a certain point, you're going to, every dot, every I, every T, the only how sometimes you can improvise is like this. If you have a couple lines and you have dots at the end of the lines, dot, 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 you can actually ad-lib a little bit. Say, for instance, dot, 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 and another character is supposed to come in at the end. They're supposed to cut you off. Instead of you saying something and stopping where the dots are and looking at the person, finish out and figure out what you say. You should have a complete thought flowing through. Now, that's where you can ad-lib a little bit and wait for them to cut you off. Because they're supposed to cut you off, but you're not going to be like, la, 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 and look at them, because that means they didn't cut you off, right? So that's different. But other than that, you have to observe the pauses and the flow of the scene. You have to understand what's happening in the scene, where your breaks are and your point. You have to understand that and work with what's being given to you, because you are not the writer, you are not the director, you're not the producer. You have to respect their job and you have to stay within your lane and do what you're supposed to be doing. And it doesn't mean like you have full creativity, because you have a lot to fill out when you get that script. You have a lot to fill out. Trust me. You bring the script to life, but you have to work within the framework you're given, because they did it that way for a reason. Whether they know the reason or not is not your priority. You have to focus on, how do I work with this and bring it to life based on all those things I just said. Your substitution, your dream, what's your aspiration, what's your hope, what's your backstory for your character. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to go after it? That has nothing to do with your lines. All of that has nothing to do with you saying even lines yet. You're in a monologue. That has nothing to do with you saying your lines. That's something happening inside. So all of that the director does not control. So all of this is happening without you saying a word. So when you do all of that, you have all that freedom, and all you got to do is say the lines. You see what I'm saying? So so when you do your backstory, your bio, your aspirations, your dreams, your hopes, your objective, what are you going after, your substitution, who you're really speaking to, your internal monologue, all that's happening before you say a word. When you say a word, people won't even think about the lines. You know why? They will respond more to what they see. Communication is more based on what we see than what we say. So everything that you are doing is going to tell them what those lines really are. So you can be like, hello, and how you say hello will tell me what you mean. Okay? So you don't want to so much focus on the lines and I can add this, I can add this. You want to know, who can you be? You want to know what's your backstory. You want to fill out the character, and that is where you're going to make an effect. You want to affect the audience and impact the audience, and that way, then your performance is good, because they won't remember a thing you say, but they will know what you did. Okay?
Okay. Good next.
Anybody
Any other
else?
question?
Is KIB's not back on? Oh, yes, he's there. He's back on. KIB. Oh man, what were you saying again? Ooh, KIB, remind me.
Yeah. You claimed me already. You said they won't pay me, so I have to respect their line, their script, and go ahead with whatever they told me to say or to do.
Yeah, got it.
And I like the fact that you went on to say about those dots. You don't have to just say something and keep quiet. Just keep on saying something, maybe something coming out of your head until you get caught by your co-cast. So
yeah,
I think that's well explained, because sometimes when you see those dots, you be like, you stop after those dots and you be like, what else do you want to say? But I think it's a clear one. I'm very good.
Because you want to finish the thoughts. Because what it is a thought that's happening. So you thought something, so you're saying something. So don't just stop, because your thought continues. So you just keep on until your scene partner has to stop you. If they don't stop you, it's not making sense. You just keep talking, because you know what your thought is in that sentence. So just keep talking. They're supposed to cut you off, which means they don't need to listen. So if they're listening to you, they will cut you off at the right point. If they're not, they won't. You know, they won't. So that way you're not anticipating, I'm going to stop. The camera will pick it up on your face. I need to stop. I'm going to stop. Just continue your thoughts and then let your scene partner cut you off. Okay. So like I said, acting has more, you know, we pay attention to the lines so much, but how many of you have seen certain parts of movies that have no words, 0 words, but you felt what was going on and they didn't say nothing? That's
Mr. Bean.
You know, that's
Mr.
real.
Bean says no word. But man, that guy.
Who else? I watch Mr. Bean around Christmas time, yo. He's so funny. You know, but you feel him, right? You feel what he's doing. And no words, but that's acting, you know. So you have parts of movies where it's just no words, but you feel it. You see it in their eyes, you see it in their facial expression, you see it in their body language, you see it in their posture, you see it in everything, because they have an internal life going on that's so rich, and you can fill out your internal life. And that's why some actors, you know, Viola Davis had a scene in this movie called Doubt. You got to go on YouTube and look it up. Doubt. Look for her one scene in Doubt. That one scene made her name in Doubt.
Yeah, I know the movie.
One scene. And you're following her and you're like, oh my God, like it just one scene made her name, you know? So you don't have to be given a whole script. Listen, some people are like, I want to be the star. I want to listen, do your best. And I put that down there. I didn't say you got to do everything you are given to do right. I don't care if it's one line. Listen, you better do that line so they remember you. You do that line so that you know you can use that for your reel. Don't be like, they give me one line. What am I going to do with this line? One line. You better listen. You have such an advantage. Think about that line and fill that line out so much that by the time you're done with that line, they're like, hey, Chandler, this person, look what they've done. You know, because use your line, use your opportunity, do it to the best of your ability with all your might. Everything that you are given, do it all your might. Do it all your might, because that one part is what's going to give you your next part. Your dedication on this one set is what's going to give you your next role. You do this for this thing bad, people don't want to call you because you're doing networking and people around, they see your work at you don't want to do that. Besides that, do it for your own self-respect. If you say you're going to do this thing, do it. Don't be doing it halfway. You commit to your character, commit to your job, commit to your profession, do it the right way, do it to the best of your ability, blow it out the water, and people will be calling your name in places saying this person is very good. You won't, listen, after a while, you won't have to audition, they'll just call you. Do you understand me? So do it to the best of your ability, to the point where, excuse me, this is going to sound a little bit challenging, to the point where no matter who is the stars or who is whatever, you're beginning to challenge the level of the industry. And that means that when you start to produce a certain level of work, everybody has to come up. Because you're setting a standard. You are your standard. You set the standard. You say how good it's going to be. You are the one that says, I don't care about what they say about this industry or that industry. I am going to produce it like I am a global star. That's my brain, my mindset. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this like I am Halle Berry. I'm going to do it like I'm whoever. You know, I'm going to do it like this. Listen, I'm a superstar already. Because I got to walk in it and act like it. And when you do that and you put your best foot forward in every performance, and guess what? Your performance will shine. People will notice you. People will notice you in places that, you know what? You'll be shocked where they're looking at you at. People would notice you on a global scale because your standard would have been, you set your standard and you jump to hit that bar. Don't drop it to me, those are around about you. So everybody's like, I'm just going to harp and learn my lines. So you're like, well, let me harp and learn my lines. And you don't even take time to really do it. I'm just going to say the lines. I'm not going to apply nothing that I've been in classes for reading about. Now, what's the sense in that? You know, you ever seen a surgeon saying, oh, let me just pick up the knives and cut them open and whatever happens, happens. No, we've been praying, Lord, we don't want surgeons. You know, no, you are like, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, do it like a profession. Do it like you put respect on it. Because if you put respect on it, then you're going to find people are going to begin to respect it all throughout. But sometimes we are not serious about the profession, and that causes a disrespect to actors. Somebody want to be Jackie Chan, but you ain't learned nothing about Taekwondo or no karate, nothing. You're just coming up and saying, "Hiya," and you think that works, and you think I'm not going to distinguish you from a skilled individual. What are we doing? Cartoons? No, we're not. You have to put yourself into it and put your best foot forward, and that's a fact. You know, so that means you do it to the best of your ability, what you have. Do it to the best of your ability, so you know when you're done. your conscience is satisfied, you're satisfied with what you've done, and you're like, no, this is respectable. It's what I know, I put it into this thing here, and I know that because I've done this, it's going to bring something else in. And I can use this as a part of my reel, or this is gonna, go before me, and somebody will see it and be like, hey, this person did a good job. And I do enough good jobs, and it's gonna create momentum. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, I was just gonna ask if acting is all about the emotions. For instance, you make an example of a person not be an emotional person who doesn't know how to express emotion. And you're giving him a scene where he has to really express emotions, maybe love or disappointment or something. So does it mean that person cannot be a real actor, or he cannot act that role? He's not a real actor, he's not a good actor? Or do we say an actor must be able to play every role or any role he's been given?
Acting, here's what, there are different kinds of actors, and here's what, there's a Johnny Depp type. You don't know Johnny Depp can transform into anything. Meryl Streep, anything she can transform into. But then there's other actors who they're very good at what they do, but they may not transform and morph completely. So when I say that actor, some actors get stereotyped, it's because they're so good at playing one thing. It's not really because they just want to stereotype them. They're just good at doing this thing, and they keep calling them for that thing. And sometimes that's your bread and butter for a season until you break out into something different. You just got to respect that, but an actor is supposed to be flexible in their profession. They should be able to portray certain things, but honest to goodness, the reality is this: there are things that we are better at than other things. Y'all, come on now. There are people that are a certain type. We're looking at a Mr. Bean as opposed to a Meryl Streep. Two different actors. Mr. Bean, if you ask Meryl Streep to do Mr. Bean, she may not be able, that's just may not be her. That may not be her strength. That might not be what she wants to do. You have to know what kind of actor you want to be. Who are you? You have to be real about who you are, right? So this is going to sound like something. So, you have actors who even your physicality, what you look like, how you are more suited, or you get put in certain roles. Y'all hear me out. That doesn't mean you should just be stuck in that role, but they're looking at it's not personal. It's that they're like, I'm looking at this person and who they look like suits this here. That's what they're saying. That's all they're saying. You know what I'm saying? So if I come in and I'm from the Caribbean, I'm gonna talk about dreadlocks. I got the long dreadlocks and stuff on the hair, and I'm flinging my dreadlocks, and I'm like, and they're like, they're not gonna say, you look like you could be a doctor. No, they're not gonna say that. They're gonna put me on a boat on the island and the party vibes. And you see what I'm saying? Because they're looking at me and trying to figure out, how do I place this character? Your looks, what does some people have commercial looks, some people, their looks are very specific. You get what I'm saying? So like a Digimon, they're gonna put him in a certain role because of how the person looks, because they're like, oh, this person suits these roles. And don't turn that down, because that's a blessing, because they're like, all these roles are like that. You better capitalize on that, and then figure out how you can probably deal with changing some parts of your image, maybe your hair differently, your clothing differently to suit another part, right? So now I'm going to address the emotionalism part. It's not about being emotional. It has nothing to, it's about managing or stewarding your emotions. And it's like I said, an athlete, when to, like if somebody is doing, they're doing long distance for the 400, when you have to pace yourself and figure out, how do I pace myself, my breath, you're thinking about what's going on, you're in the moment. An actor has to be skilled at managing their emotions. So you're not emoting. The worst thing you can see, like I said, a wet dish rag actor, where they're just like crying because they're supposed to cry, and they're just bawling because they're supposed to cry. No, you're working through your objective. How do I accomplish that objective? They might say cry. And for that scene, as I look through the scene, as I look at the circumstances of the scene, it might be, hold a minute. So if I look at the circumstances of the scene, then it might require a bawling cry. It might require a very sober, quiet whimper with a tear coming down. But because we've been sometimes our eyes are not just, and you're dealing with people that are trained and not trained. So understand me when I say this, right? So somebody will be like, no, bawl, cry. and you're thinking, I'm crying because somebody cut my banana tree down. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, my banana tree. Like, are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? Like, what type of cry does that require? And it's not just what type of cry, but I gotta feel the emotions and let them out the way they come. So if it requires crying, if I have done my emotional prep, the way it comes out will be my truth in that moment. I have to tell the truth. Your scene has to tell the truth. You have to be truthful acting. And I'm not talking about what you say. I'm talking about who you are in that moment. You have to tell the truth. If not, the audience will know if you're not telling the truth. They will not connect with it. Okay? So it's not, so if men or women, it's about being vulnerable and open to feeling and experiencing and showing what you're feeling. But doing it truthfully as it applies to the scene, as it applies to you going after your objectives. So you're not just emoting and you're angry, so you're stomping. Ha, ha, you people, ha, ha, ha. No, that is not it. If your boss is angry, he might look at you, walk through the office, slam the door, and go sit down. He might not scream and tell you nothing. So what applies to the circumstance would be how you utilize your emotions then. Okay, so we don't want to be just throwing emotions out there. We want to be intellectual actors, those that you use your mind in the midst of the scene and not just your emotions. You have to put the both together. So you have to be very intellectual because it's a skill. You have to use your mind and do intelligent thought processes. Some of the best scenes that you see, it's because they've thought it out and they're strategic about what they're doing and how they're maneuvering the scene and how they're utilizing their emotions. They're not just emoting because it looks like somebody just vomited on a page, like, blah, say like, they're crying all over, everybody's scattered, and what is really happening? You're even confused when you look at it. What is happening here? What is going on? There's no order, no structure. There's a bunch of bawling and people talking over each other. What is happening here? No order, nothing. That's not what should happen. There's a way you have to be very strategic about it. And I think that's the part that's really important. You want to make sure that you are really being strategic about what you're doing. You're telling the truth in the moment. You're being truthful, honest to how you've connected with your material. And you're letting that out in a way that goes after your objective. Your objective, going after what you want, is going to direct your emotions. If you're seductive in doing it, if you're trying to charm in doing it, if you're trying to deceive in doing it, whatever it is, whatever way you choose to go after that objective is going to pull the emotion from you that you need. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Any other question from any other person?
There was a lady on here. I didn't see her face, but there's a lady that wanted to ask a question. I don't know if she still does, but anybody can if she doesn't. One more question, then we're going to wrap up.
Queen Cleopatra, do you have a question?
I thought she had a question before. Maybe it was clear. It was Cleopatra, wasn't it? It was Cleopatra.
I was talking, I didn't even realize that I was still muted. No, I just wanted to say thank you. I don't really have a question, really. It's just that I've thoroughly enjoyed the moments that I joined a little bit later than expected. So I don't really have much to say, but from the little I gathered, you really know your stuff. And I just want to appreciate you and thank you and ask if you're going to have this session again at some point. So hopefully I'll join even earlier next time.
Okay, thank you so much, Cleopatra. I appreciate that.
It's all right.
Anybody? Olajumi, you have a question?
Yes, I see somebody has their hand up.
Yeah, Olajumi, are you there? The hands are up.
Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Olajumi, say something. Your hand is up. All right, any other person? Okay.
I think that is it.
I guess that'll be all. So I want to thank everybody for being part of this training. this is just the first step. We have many steps coming up. And as a follow-up to this, we're going to be having a monologue. So those who are here and those who are not here, once we make the posts, do your monologue, you do a video. So we're going to have 3 judges, and she's going to be one of them. We're going to post that video on our social media handle. I think you have to type your social media handles for us, and we'll spread it so that people can, you'll be tagged in all our posts. Olajimi says she needs to be unmuted. Just unmute yourself. Where's Olajimi now?
He's saying. Did he say something in the chat?
Just say something.
I think she already sent a chat asking a question in the chat. She already asked a question in the chat room.
Okay, all right.
See, my chat's not coming up. Do you mind reading it out for me?
There's some comments. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it at all. It's not coming up here.
Okay, our question is, let me say it. Let me read it out. Please, at what point can you say an actor is overacting or overacting? At what point can you say an actor is overacting?
Okay. And can you pronounce her name for me again?
Her name is Olajimi.
Olajimi. I just want to give respect to your name. I don't like messing up people's names.
Olajimi, okay.
So Olajimi. So it's a real touchy one, right? Okay. You remember I spoke about being truthful in the moment? If you feel like you are trying to do something, you're overacting. You're overacting. Here's what I mean by that. I mean that you should be living in the circumstances of the scene. You should be so focused on going after your objective and what you want and interacting with your characters so personally that you're not thinking, I need to do more. I need to raise my hand bigger. I need to do more. When you start thinking I need to do more, you are overacting, because you shouldn't be thinking about what you're doing. You should just be doing. Like I'm here, I'm not thinking I am going to raise my hand up like this, and I'm going to do this over here. Or I'm not thinking I need to do it. No, this is just literally the way I talk. I'm a little bit more extra. I'm sorry. A little bit extra. So that's just me, right? So I didn't think I'm going to laugh back there. I didn't do that. I was just doing what I do. I'm enjoying teaching. I love teaching. So I'm just doing this. This is just what I'm doing. So you should not be thinking, what am I doing? You should not be over exaggerating, because just like, say for instance, Fidelio, say if this was a part for Fidelio and he was supposed to be in an actor's class in a scene and he was supposed to sit down there, he'd be doing that. He wouldn't be like, why? He would be doing just like he's laughing right there. That's what he'd be doing, because that's his truth. That's what he's truthfully functioning at this moment. But if you see me like this and I want to do something, you should never want to do something. You should just be in your scene and be living in the scene and the circumstances of it. If somebody's speaking, you're listening. You are really listening to what they're saying. So you will see in your eyes that you're listening and not just, okay, can they hurry up to say their line so I can just say something? When you're in the moment of the scene, you're not thinking about, I need to do something. You're literally listening to them and reacting and responding to what's happening. So you're not going to be thinking, let me do this like that. No, that's when you're off. And that's when a lot of people get into overacting, because they're not listening. If they're listening, somebody's talking to you, they're not really listening. If I were to be a teacher that's teaching an acting class, I'll teach it like this in a movie. Why? Because I'm here and this is the reality of what's happening. Right? This is real. What you see happening here is real. I want you to go, when you're in your house and you see people moving around, just look at what they're doing. Just look. That's all you have to do. Look, you see, the camera's job is to cut certain moments out and to come close or to go wide or to zoom in on the hand on what they're doing. The camera is going to work with the script and tell the story. You are to live like you see the people in your house living. Just what they're doing is what you're supposed to do. They have thoughts in their head going on. They have situations they're thinking about. Probably something happened before. So your mom walked in the door and she probably forgot to tell everybody good evening. She backed up. She's like, good evening. And then she goes back to the room. Simple things like that. That's real acting. You are not responsible for giving the camera moments. You're responsible for being real, living truthfully, being in the present, thinking about what you're thinking about. If you're frustrated, if you're whatever, if you're happy and you're joyful and you're celebrating, whatever it is. It is a director's job to cut out and zero into stuff. You don't think about that. You think about, how am I living right now in the moment? That's going to keep you from overacting, because if you feel like you have to push to show something and do something, you're wrong. If you go after by any means, go after your objective, and connect and listen. If you're doing all that, you don't have time to overact. There's too much going on. You have to listen. If you're listening to somebody, it's gonna be very, very hard for you to really stop and listen, and also try to do something big at the same time, because you're like, okay, I got to listen. If you're somebody's speaking in a scene, you really have to listen. So when you're doing all of that, you don't have time to be over dramatizing stuff. Anytime you get to that part, you're telling a lie. And when I say telling a lie, I don't mean out of your mouth. I mean in your actions. You're not being true to the moment you're in. You're telling an untruth, and the audience is going to pick it up. And you have people, we've learned to tolerate that standard of acting, but that's not where we want to stay at. That's why I said, set your standard and hit the bar, no matter what people are doing. Okay.
Okay, so I'm sure her question has been answered. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sure we'll be able to do this again some other time. So we're going to be having the audition of the monologue. So everybody's going to get something to talk about. Remember all she has said. Let everything be on your head. Do your imagination. Look at the mirror and talk to the other person. And then put everything. I'll write the formal information and spread it forward. So once we start, if she gives you a pass mark, then you pass. And if she said no, then you have to repeat this class. Okay, so after all this, we're going to shoot in some skits. But that's where we want to see the practical thing you have learned from this and other things we're going to be doing. So it's been a wonderful time. Sorry for taking double of the time you gave us. I'm sure we'll be able to compensate you some other time, one way or the other. Thank you very much. I guess one of us, anybody here can appreciate on the behalf of everybody. What do you say to her? Just unmute your mic. Say hello or say bye, whatever.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, Fidela, your favorite student.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thanks for being here.
Stella.
Thank you so much for taking me in the class. Though I joined a little bit late, but I was able to pick a thing or two. And I hope we'll be able to do this again some other time. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you too, Stella. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a part.
Okay. Smart J, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much. It's really worth staying over for. I mean, at least I'm not really into acting, but with this, at least I've been able to gain a lot, and then might be looking at acting as another career of you know. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the tutorial.
Too. Thanks for being a part.
Thank you. Queen has spoken. Who else? Dan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it was a nice class. Just that I joined a little bit late because of some
You
other
people don't
meetings.
keep the time.
Yeah, it was a nice one.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Appreciate it.
Olajumoke. Bella, get out of the screen. Olajumoke, say something.
FD, are you chasing me out?
All right, Exalted. I want everybody to just say something and then we'll go.
Okay. Yeah. Although I'm not an actor, but those were quite thought-provoking moments. There were so many things that you said that were actually the truth about what we do over here. You know, we really don't get it right here, but we feel it's okay. Everybody can just manage. You know, but that was really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I guess that'll be all. On behalf of African Entertainment Network, we say thank you for your time. And anytime we call on you, please, we don't mind buying another week for you so that you have 2 or 3. All right, thank you, everybody. This will be all for now.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, good
Goodbye.
Yeah, good night.
Good night. Bye, Fidelo.
Africa Entertainment Network.